Joseph,
What's up, man?
nothing much, buddy. Welcome to season 3, episode 25 of Socratic Sports. How you feeling, man?
I'm
How
feeling
you feeling about
great.
being in season 3?
I'm so excited to kick things off. It's gonna be a good season. A lot of interesting things we're gonna talk about. I think
Yeah, hey.
it's gonna be very varied. Was like season two was very football heavy. I think this one's gonna cover
Yeah, yeah.
a broader spectrum.
Yeah, we had the NBA playoffs coming up, the NHL playoffs coming up. A lot of golf is happening. The March Madness, which is the big thing. We got the NFL draft. So we're gonna have a lot of things to talk about this season. Excited about it. And unfortunately, we're gonna kick off the show because we was on a little hiatus after season 2, and now, like I said, we're started back season 3, and we hope you guys love the trailer. The trailer was done by that awesome man right there, the best trailer that's ever been put together ever. And so yeah, we just hope you guys enjoyed that. But just a quick recap ending our season 2 and then starting with season 3 of the Super Bowl. My boys, they just couldn't do it. My 49ers, man, and it was tough to watch, Joseph. It was. What are your quick thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Quick thoughts are, I mean, they are kind of the new empire. They're the new Patriots of the early
Yeah.
2000s, and you have to like you can't make a single mistake if you're gonna beat the Chiefs at this point
hmm hmm
because they will figure out a way to win,
Yeah.
and that's just where it is right now.
Yeah. Do you think that we will be sitting here again next year saying the same thing?
At this point, I have to say yes. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's a long off season. We're gonna get into this when we talk about free agency, but it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Chris Jones.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but right now, as everything stands, again, it's to me they're a dynasty officially. I would consider them a dynasty. Until I see them lose to somebody that's not Tom Brady, I have to assume the Chiefs are just going to keep winning.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, man. And I could actually see, I mean, obviously it's my boys, my 49ers. I could totally see them and the Chiefs back at it next year again. But again, to your point, as we jump into free agency, we do have some questions ourselves. What do we do with Debo? We got to sign our Ayuk back. Do we bring back Chase Young? I mean, we have questions too. If we could figure this all out and bring back a good amount of our core members. I think we're primed to see the same thing next year. Um, Again, my boys, man, it was just so many times we could have took a big leap ahead of that game. And I wish we did. And I mean, but it goes down to everything. It goes down from the coaching down to the players. It was I mean, we were together watching it. You saw me, my body
Mm.
language, my palms were sweaty. It was rough, man. But you win some, you lose some. What are you gonna do? But yeah, to your point, we're gonna jump into free agency. A lot of good free agencies out this year. I mean, with the breaking news this week that Saquon Barkley won't be franchise tagged and will be leaving. Well, most likely will be leaving the Giants. We got Kirk Cousins out there. We got Derrick Henry out there. We
Hmm.
got Chris Jones out there. There's some good names out there this offseason. So, what do you think about this free agency?
This is by far the most exciting free agency class that I can recall in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, just in the running backs alone. Again, you already mentioned Barkley, Henry, Josh
Mm-hmm.
Jacobs is a free
Yep.
agent, Tony
Mm-hmm.
Pollard,
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Swift, Austin Eckler. I think the assumption is that he'll re-sign with the Chargers, but who knows?
Chargers. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
and then defensive line again, big one. Daniil Hunter is a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Patrick Queen, yeah, it's gonna get very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited
Technically,
too.
Baker is still a free
Yeah,
agent. I
Baker,
mean,
but I don't see him going anywhere. I think that the Bucks are gonna sign him back. I mean, they just got back Chris Evans. I mean Chris Evans.
Mike Evans,
Mike Evans.
Mike
Sorry,
Evans.
yeah. So they just got back Mike Evans. Signed him to a 2-year deal. And so you bring him back, and then obviously you gotta have somebody to throw Mike Evans the ball, and who else than Baker Mayfield right now, because they were a good 1-2 combination last year. Um, with that. And don't be surprised. So one of the things I will say to that point, though, is because I know some of the questions, like we mentioned about the big names at the running back position. Don't be surprised if the Bucks get one of those players,
Mhm,
because you know what, I think if you have that star wideout, you got I won't say premier, but you have a really good quarterback in Baker, and you give him a solid running game right there. I think they're forced to be reckoned with. Uh, the Saquon deal, you know, everybody keeps bringing up the Cowboys, whether if it's there or Derrick Henry with the Cowboys. But I think the Cowboys have proven that, and Jerry Jones has proven that they don't want to spend money. And I
mhm,
think these running backs are really they're not scared this day and age to hold out, and,
mhm,
and, and find somewhere who wants, whether if it's a contender or someone who's right there at a contender. So I wouldn't be surprised with that. I saw somewhere that said that Derrick Henry could land with the Ravens. If that happens, that'd be like, I
yeah,
mean, that takes so much pressure off of Lamar Jackson from running the ball all the time, that I think that changed the whole dynamic for the Ravens if they land a quarterback like that. I don't see the Cowboys making any big moves this offseason. Again, with signing a big name, wouldn't be surprised if they brought Pollard back on a like some kind of lucrative deal, 2 years, something, whatever. Wouldn't be surprised with that. Saquon Barkley, it's tough to say where. Again, from my first thought was that somebody like uh, I don't know, like a Oakland Raiders, or someone who's looking to sign a good quarterback and get a running back in his deal. I've been trying to figure out where, but I did hear someone say that Saquon could fit with Houston, and I think that is, I forgot who said that, but I was just like, oh wait, that is actually
mhm,
that's a great signing. So if that happens, watch out for Houston. I mean, they did it last year with the team that they had and made it to the playoffs. And so you add that premier running back. I think that says a lot for that team. And then Kirk Cousins. Again, I've heard Atlanta being thrown around. I just don't know if he fits in Atlanta, because I mean, I think we've talked about it when we was talking about the coaching things, and the coaching hirings, and we was talking about Belichick and everything like that. And I was one of my first thoughts was that such a young team to have
yeah,
someone older and don't understand them. That was my whole against hiring older quarterback, somebody like
yeah,
Belichick to be in Atlanta. But my first thought was, well, Kirk Cousins, he's an older quarterback.
yeah,
He could probably play. He's 36. Could probably play. I mean, these quarterbacks these year, he probably could play another 5 years. But again, my first thought was like, oh, the quarterback. They need someone young and blah. But uh, um, the quarterbacks that are out there right now are slim. Like Kirk Cousins is probably the top one that's out there right
he
now.
is the top one.
Yeah, and so at 36, being around, I would say like Jefferson and that young team, the young ones that he had around Minnesota, I actually think that, hey, he probably would fit well in Atlanta, to give that veteran presence on the field, and that'd be a huge chance for him to win in Atlanta. That'll actually like submit if he could go to Atlanta with that team, and the the new coach and just do something amazing, I think that even puts his resume even up, like just up there, you know.
Mhm.
And so yeah, there to your point, I think there's a lot of questions. The Chris Jones situation. Yeah, I don't see him going anywhere. I think Kansas City brings him back, but I think that's the only move that they really do this year, and you know, probably sign a wideout or two to help with Patrick. But I mean, I think they're settled there. So yeah, that I think there's a lot of great free agents out there, but there's even more teams out there that need, you know, these players. And I think the exciting part is, okay, who's gonna go where? Like what's gonna happen? And so that's what I'm really looking forward to see the breaking news from Adam Schefter. Like, oh, this person's on. We're like, what? You know. And so
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's what I'm waiting for right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's gonna be a couple obvious ones like Baker re-signing with Tampa. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
Evans would have signed that deal if he wasn't confident that Baker was coming back.
Good point.
But then yeah, I think you're gonna have a couple surprises. Um,
Mm.
One person we didn't talk about that I do want to touch on a little bit is Russell Wilson.
Oh, good. I totally
And
forgot about Russell.
where, like, what happens with him now? First off, my question to you is Russell Wilson a starting quarterback in the NFL right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he still that caliber? Would you be, obviously, you guys have Brock, but all things aside, would you be confident if your team signed Russell Wilson to be your starting quarterback?
Dang, that's a tough question right there. Um, yes, yes, I would
Okay.
say yes, only because I think what has happened the past couple of years has put a blind eye to what he's done in Seattle, and I don't want let's just say he was a top quarterback when he was in Seattle. He's had a
Mhm.
rough couple of years in Denver. I don't think that was the perfect fit for him. And now that you know he's moved on for them, I think this is a rebranding. But I just think he needs to find the right fit for him. And I don't want to say to prove anything, but I think it's more of a see, it's not me, it was them sort of
Mhm.
situation where we can stop saying, would you want Russell on your team? Because I still think he's an elite quarterback. I really do. I just think he was put in a really bad system with really bad coaching. And he was just, I don't know if you saw that interview he did. I don't know. I think it was ESPN, but he was saying like how he got the call was like, hey, we're gonna put you on medical leave even though nothing is wrong with you, but we don't want to start you for the rest of the season. And then
Interesting.
NFL got word, the head guys at the NFL headquarters got word and was like, yo, you can't do that,
You
like
can't do that.
there's
Yeah,
not.
you can't say
Yeah.
somebody's on the IR if they're not on
Yeah.
the IR.
But to me saying like how why would you want to do that to a quarterback like Russell? Like that's not like to me that just so was it more of the organization who just wanted to like I don't know what, move on or just didn't want his, you know, I don't know. I really don't know what I'm trying to say as far as like why wouldn't they want Russell around? Because again, he has a great resume with Seattle and he's proven himself in Seattle. So why wouldn't you want that? And it happened so fast, like literally his
Yeah.
second year, and they're like, "Yo, get out of here!" Like it was just so weird, and I do feel bad for him, but yeah, to your first question, if if my star quarterback went down and I needed somebody to replace him, I would not be mad if it was Russell.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned how you feel bad for him because that was gonna be kind of my next point. This has been a really weird saga for me because I have never been a Russell Wilson fan. There's something
Mm,
about him I'm just not crazy about.
mm,
He kind of comes off as like disingenuous to me, and I don't know. I've never really liked him that much.
mm,
But I did not see the way he's fallen from grace and like the way his career just boom, just like right down. Like really after having an MVP caliber season in Seattle, it's just kind of shock. Like I can't think of an athlete across any sports that I've really remember seeing something like this happen to, where like
Mm,
they're at the top of their game, they go to another team, and then like it just falls apart so
yeah.
fast.
Hmm.
And now he's not even the number one. Like the website I was looking at earlier, they have him as the fifth top rated free agent quarterback behind Jacoby
Mm.
Brissett. Which I
Oh
mean, Jacoby
wow.
Brissett's good, but like he's a
Yeah.
Super Bowl winning quarterback,
Hmm.
and it seems like everybody's just
Who was the
kind
who
of
was who was so obviously Kirk Cousins and then Baker Mayfield. Who was the other
actually
two?
Jacoby. So the website I'm looking at, they have Jacoby Brissett as two, which surprised me.
Okay.
So three was Baker,
Okay.
four was Ryan Tannehill. Yeah,
What?
like I think Ryan Tannehill's kind of done, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he's in backup land now. I don't.
yeah, they have him as the fourth best free agent quarterback. But
But see, and that just
this
goes
is
to the
just one
disrespect,
website,
though.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
But
don't get it. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah. It's just, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me, And I understand that's just one website that you saw, but even it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, that's just the disrespect of because of we've forgotten what he's done because of these
yeah,
last two seasons with Denver is that this is what's happening. And to your point, it's sad. It really is.
mhm,
It sucks. And this dude is I mean, anybody who puts on pads to play in the NFL is a tough dude. Like,
yeah,
come on. I played uh football in high school and I did like two games and I was just like, yeah, this ain't for me. I don't care how big I am. Like, bro, this dude just hit me that hard. Like, no, this is not for me. And so yeah, I mean, the dude is a premier quarterback. When he needs to make plays, he make plays. But again, he just needs to be around the right system. Uh, I mean, and there are teams out. So what I came across also is who can bring in some weapons even through the draft or just signing free agency. I mean, I saw somewhere about because I'm glad you brought up Russell. And I don't know if you know who will be a great fit for Russell, but I saw somebody mention the Giants. I don't think so because I think the Giants are on a rebuild mode right now.
I agree
And
with that.
I
I
don't.
don't think the Giants are as close as people think.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think so either. And I think that would be just a 2.0 of Denver for Russell if he went there. Um Teams that have like the cap space right now that I think could sign him. Like so who has the most cap space right now? You have the Commanders that has 90 million in cap space. You have the Patriots that has 88 in cap space. You have the Titans that has 75 in cap space. You have the Bears, who again we know is probably trading Fields,
Yeah,
and taking you know his
Williams.
name, Williams,
Yeah,
Caleb Williams, and then the Texans. I mean, for as good as they are, they have
yeah,
70 million in cap space. Who can go get a premier whatever they need, even though it
yeah.
won't be a quarterback. So out of those teams that have the money. I wouldn't mind seeing Washington, adding some guns around them and getting Russell to come in there and run that. And I wouldn't mind the Patriots signing Russell because you know what? That I think that that Patriot system kind of reminds me of a Seattle system where you have
Mhm.
a premier defense where when we need a touchdown or we need a score or something like that, then we can when we need it we'll do it. But majority of the time we're going to rely on our defense, and I think that's what the Patriot New England Patriots do as a team, as a franchise. They rely on that defense first, and then the past few years with the Patriots, they've struggled at the quarterback position,
Oh yeah.
but they wasn't being blown out. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-mm. Yeah,
they weren't like their defense held it down for them. They just couldn't score an offense. So if you put Russell in there, I think that changes a lot. And so I would like if I had the perfect landing spot for me would be New England for Russell. And again, if the Commanders with the money. The only reason I chose the Commanders is because they have the money to add other stars to that team with Russell to build that up. So those right now, those are my two. Would be the Commanders and the Patriots.
Yeah, the only other team, really the only I did see the Giants. The only other team I saw Russell connected to, for like a brief moment was the Steelers. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could work. I don't know. I'm a little confused on what the Steelers' plans are.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
they're gonna move on with Pickett or not. But it'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah, I don't
Before
think
we,
they. Well, real quick, I don't. I mean, do you think they would? Because Pickett, I mean, he's still fresh. You know, he's still fresh meat. Like I don't. You
I mean, I
think
guess it
that quick?
depends. I mean, I think it ultimately comes down, do the higher ups in that organization think that their window is open right now? Because I don't
True,
think
good
Pickett wins
question.
you a championship, at least
Yeah,
not in the next few years.
right. Yeah,
So if they
yeah,
really
yeah.
believe that they have an elite defense and
Which
they
they
have
do.
offensive, they do, yeah, and they have
Yeah.
offensive weapons, which I'd say they do.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Do you plug in Russell or really any veteran quarterback and
That's a
I
really
don't
hot
know,
take. That's a good
see
hot take
see
right
if
there.
I think they would try to replicate kind of what the Titans did for the last few years, where like they plugged in
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Tannehill and he did enough
Mm-hmm.
to keep them relevant and give them a
Mm-hmm.
chance. At a Super Bowl, I know they never made it, but they made it to an AFC Conference Championship. They were the number one seed. A lot of people always forget, but they were the number one seed in 21, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2021, the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. But so one last thing before we move on from the NFL,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you did mention it briefly. I just kind of want to touch on it, which is the whole Justin Fields stuff.
Okay.
So you think that it's a done deal? Chicago's moving on from him, or do you think there's an inkling of a chance they stick with him? And if they do move on, where does he go?
Yeah, I think he does move on. I think they do move on from Justin Fields. What I think they're doing is they, you know, again, I don't think Chicago, I don't think the Bears are anywhere near like if we bring back Justin, it's gonna be the same thing again and again and again. Like I don't see. So what I think with drafting Williams and bringing him in now you get okay, we have a 5 year window again after we took Justin Fields. Now we have another 5 year window with another, premier quarterback out of the draft to get this right. So this is like a restart for the Bears again, you know. And so now the downside to that is if the Bears do that, move on, draft Williams, and they do the same exact thing again in another 5 years, that's gonna bring the organization down. Like no one want to go to play with them.
Yeah.
It's just a repeat over and over again. So but yeah, so I think that they do move on, they do draft Williams and they do like another rebranding and try to get it right because again, if they draft him and they don't do bad, they don't do good this year, and they have another good draft order, then they can draft let's say another premier wide receiver or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and continue to build within the next couple of years, and get to hopefully in the next 2 3 years be in the playoffs and be in contenders now. As far as Fields, again, if it can happen, I know I mentioned Cousins in Atlanta, but I think Fields in Atlanta would be the best option right now. Again, with that young core, young head coach, um, I I I just don't see if and I'll put this on a record right now. If Atlanta gets Fields, Atlanta will be top three in the standings.
In the
Um,
NFC.
and in the
Like the NFC
NFC.
conference.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. They'll be the top three, and making a deep run in the playoffs.
Mm,
I think a young quarterback, a young team, a young coach. I think it'll just be so comfortable for everybody that they will like make some huge noise, because when you have that comfortability and you're like, you just feel like I fit in.
mhm.
Nothing goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you belong here. Not like you just want to do this. And I think that'll be I am in on them doing that with Fields in Atlanta. I think that'd be a huge pick. And then the second option, and this is me reaching, um, I would say the Giants. And the only reason I say the
Okay.
Giants is because that is a premier market, and you bring in a quarterback like that, I think you make a lot of noise, a lot of buzz. You
Mm,
create that that because Aaron is in with the Jets, and now you bring Fields in with the Giants. You bring in that like just that, hey, Giants are like, hey, we're still here. Like we're don't forget about us, sort of thing.
mm.
And I think uh, they have a young team, and with the Giants also, that it's not, again, they're trying to find their way. I think the Giants, if I had to rate them, out of the 32 teams in the NFL, they would be somewhere in the middle of the pack. Not the worst, but not nowhere near the best. And so yeah, I think either Atlanta or the Giants would be a good landing spot for Fields.
Yeah. So I I agree with you. I do think they'll move on from Fields. I don't think it's the smart decision,
Mm.
but I mean, maybe they see something, and that's also my bias of like I think Caleb is way overhyped. I
So
think
is it
so.
is it is it real quick? Is it
Yeah,
more because Caleb is overhyped, or do you think that the Bears are like close to being like contenders, and Fields would be the right
yeah.
person to take them?
So I don't think the Bears are. I don't think they're as far off from being contenders as we might think. I think he's a premier quarterback, Justin Fields. I think they haven't done enough to build around him, and it's been a disservice to him. I mean, every time that ball snaps, he's running for his life.
Mm, mm.
Um, I will say the bigger part of it is I do think Caleb Williams is overhyped. To me personally, I think the best quarterback in this draft is Penix. I don't know
Okay,
why.
from Washington.
Yeah, I don't know why Penix isn't being talked about as a top 3 pick.
Mm.
Like all you hear is Williams, May,
And
who I mean
yeah,
Drake
Drake
and
May. Mm.
Daniels from LSU.
Yeah.
Who Daniels is good. I mean, won the Heisman. I
Mm.
think unrightfully so, but he won it. Um,
Unrightfully so.
I don't get. I thought Penix should have won it. I mean, I get William or Daniels had the numbers, but Penix had the wins and the resume. Um,
Mm.
I don't get the Drake May stuff. That's a whole other conversation when we get closer to the draft.
Yeah.
So it is a mixture of it. I also think the Bears could get a haul for trading away this first round pick again, like they did last year with Carolina, and I don't know why they wouldn't try to do that. Just kind of stock up on draft picks. Um, but again, maybe there's conversations happening that we're not part of that they feel it's time to move on from Fields. And then I do agree with you. My number one spot would be Atlanta. I think Atlanta's the most likely. He's from Atlanta, so it's a hometown kid going home.
Mm.
Um, I think they're most set up. I've heard the Steelers. I don't really get that one, but he has been connected to the Steelers. And then if I had to do a stretch pick, like an out of nowhere, I
Mm.
would say the Vikings would be an interesting
Hmm. Oh, that's actually,
if the
yeah, that is
Vikings move
good.
on from Kirk Cousins.
Him and Jefferson, that is good.
Yeah,
I actually like that a lot. I didn't even think about that. It's a good
but
one.
we'll see. It's gonna get the closer we get to the end of April, the more we're gonna hear. I mean, we're already hearing a lot about it, but it's just gonna intensify. So
Yeah.
we'll see. It'll be an
Yeah.
interesting time in Chicago for sure. That's what's crazy is they just had the number one pick in the NHL draft, and they got Connor Bedard.
With the Blackhawks.
Yeah, and now they have the
Hmm.
number one pick in the NFL draft. And I'll have to double check the standings, but there's a chance they can get the number one pick in the NBA draft also.
No, they won't.
You don't think so?
The Bulls are I think they're either 7 or 8 seed, so which we're going to get into shortly. But yeah, Chicago is a for some reason is a losing city right
Oh
now
yeah.
who needs some wins, dude. They need some wins bad.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah. But so yeah, all
Cool.
good on
Yeah.
the NFL recap from the Super Bowl to the free agency. And we will definitely I'm sure we'll probably have a 1 or 2 part episode coming up soon because we have the draft, we have all these free agencies coming up. I think the draft alone
Yeah.
is definitely something that's gonna be like crazy. And I haven't mentioned this to Joey at all, so we're breaking it right now. But I would say draft night, we might do a Socratic Sports Live.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and
If
go
we're in
ahead
town,
and
yeah. That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
we're in town. Yeah, for sure, because we got dumb jobs. But
I love my job and respect my job and respect everybody I work with.
So all right, on to the NBA. First time in Socratic Sports this season. We're gonna start talking about the NBA because a lot of things are happening as far as the end of season. A lot of teams are close, and the standings from the west to the east. And then we have the playoffs coming up. The end the play-in tournaments is coming up too. So yeah, we have a lot of good things coming up now. But let's start with your take so far, Joey, on the NBA season. Biggest surprises and disappointments with the teams.
All right. I will start with the positive. I'll do biggest surprises by far. I'm gonna go for the entire Western Conference and
Oh,
how those standings are playing out.
yeah,
Obviously the
yeah.
biggest ones, OKC and Minnesota being at the top,
Mm-hmm.
would not have seen that coming at
Yeah,
all.
for sure.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got OKC's number one, Minnesota's two, Denver's three, makes sense. Clippers, the Pelicans are five.
Yeah.
And then you have the
Mm-hmm.
Suns at six, who the Suns, I mean, a lot of people picked them to win it all this year after they got Bradley Beal in the offseason.
He's been hurt majority of the year.
That's true. But they got the new coach. They got Frank Vogel, who I mean has won an NBA championship. Albeit that
Mm-hmm.
was during the COVID season. He had LeBron. But it's like I feel like it's almost as if they just flip the standings upside down. Like all the teams you expect at the top, like Sacramento, Dallas, the Lakers, Warriors. They're not out of the playoffs, but they're all like in the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
And then all these teams that I mean, granted, nobody should have slept on Minnesota. Minnesota's been building for many years. I think they should have arrived at this spot a couple of years ago. It just took them a little bit longer than expected.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody. I know myself. I would not have had them in a two.
Oh, without a
OKC.
doubt.
I don't know what they got going on at OKC, but I mean, Shea Gilgeous Alexander right now, to
Yeah,
me
SGA
personally,
boy, he's playing.
I think he's the
Yeah,
MVP. So
yeah. Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I would go that far, but I like to push the
Jokic
envelope.
over Jokic.
Yes. So
What, Joey?
here's
Come
why.
on.
Okay. Here's why. So it's kind of like my CJ Stroud argument for the NFL. Jokic, we know what Jokic is capable of. He's probably right now the best player in the NBA. I would say like him and Jason Tatum, it's pretty close. Um, but we expect that. Like we expect greatness from that. I didn't expect Shea Gilgeous Alexander to be carrying an OKC team to a number one seed currently. Like, and to me, that matters. Again, like your MVP should be someone who does something extraordinary and lifts up a team that maybe people were not crazy about. So I think that should matter. Even matter a little more than just the statistics and data because there's things I feel like he's doing that they don't show up on a stat sheet. But he has this team believing, he has this team rallying around him. And now you see a small market team who, I mean, hopefully hopefully I would like to see them make a deep run in the playoffs. I think it'd be cool for the city of Oklahoma.
Yeah, yeah, I think it would too.
So
And with that high rank, like if they stay at this one or two, I
yeah.
mean, they have a big chance of making it
Oh
far in
yeah.
the playoffs.
Oh yeah. So that's why I would say he's the MVP. But
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
what about you? What's your biggest surprise?
So real quick, I just want to point this out. So right now the stats for the season for Jokic is 26 a game, 12 rebounds a game, 9 assists a game. If he averages a triple double, I mean that's MVP types. Like you just there's no he's point 0.8 assists away from averaging a triple double. Like that's just crazy. SGA, he's at 31 a game, which is I mean he's carrying that. I mean the kid is a stud. Like don't get me wrong. If you take away
He's number
Jokic,
two.
yeah, yeah.
Only Doncic is over him.
If you take away Jokic, this kid, like without a doubt, I'm with you. I am with you 100%. He's averaging 35, 5 rebounds, 6 assists a game, which is, I mean, it's good numbers. Like, don't get me wrong. Um, he's um, he's had 46 games with 30 points. Like the kid is like beat, like he's out of this world. I agree with you, right? But I think Jokic, I'm always impressed by because what's crazy is that you can say, hey, the Jokic is, I'm exaggerating, but Jokic is 7 feet, 260. He should be doing this. You know what I'm saying? But let's look at like Greg Oden, like Big Yao Ming, like these big dudes who just couldn't play in the NBA. This dude is big. He can shoot from
Yao
the
Ming played
three.
well. Greg Oden
He played
is.
okay. All
It's
right.
not fair to
Let's
put. Greg Oden was like an anomaly.
let, let's
He
start.
got
Like,
rolled a bad hand.
you know, but listen, when you're that big and you can handle a ball, shoot the ball, be dominant in the post, be as like tough as this dude is, and be Russian, like dude, I don't know if he's Russian, but um, you know, it's
No,
the
he's
dude. Oh,
Serbian.
Serbia. So the dude is just a beast, man. So I'm taking until those numbers decline. I am like, but it's unfortunate, like because but I do think you give SGA probably the offensive player of the year. I think that'd be a nudge to like, all right, listen, we're not going to give you the MVP, but here go the offensive player of the year sort of thing. So that's one
Feels
way.
like a
But
participation trophy.
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Start a campaign,
So
SGA for MVP.
my my surprises. So I didn't go like a division. I went towards like teams.
Yeah,
The
that's
two teams that I am right now like surprised at, like I know you said with in the West with Minnesota and
hmm
OKC. So, but I went with the East
okay.
and the Magic and the Knicks.
That's a
Like
good one. Yeah.
I am like surprised at how like so one I'll start with the Knicks. So yesterday and what even got me to this is yesterday the Knicks played Orlando. And the Knicks won. It was I think it was like 98 to 70 something or whatever. But and it was just it was the Knicks just looked on another level, right? But you take that away, they're like neck and neck. I want to say 4 and 5. I want to say maybe or 5 and 6. Like they're almost identical records, 37 and
Yeah.
27 or 37 and 26. Um,
Yeah,
so the Knicks
The
took it
Knicks
that
are 37-26. Orlando's 37-27.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
And
mean
so
they're right there.
they took it that night. But I think um Paulo is just playing like
Mhm.
the kid is has taken this team. He sort of reminds me of like a oh my god, I had his name earlier and I said I wanted to say it. Like a Penny Hardaway. Like when
Okay.
you came into, you know what I'm saying? When you came on the team, and and the reason I thought about that honestly too is because he plays for Orlando. but he came on the team trying to find his way last year, found his way, and now he's just like just taking his team to like I don't want to say the next level just yet because the next level would be like legit
Yeah.
contenders, taking them to the conference championship and all that stuff like that. But I think he's taking them to the point where they're going to taste the playoffs, see what this tastes like, and want more, even more next year. And they've been coached really well. I think with that team to have that record, I mean, that speaks volumes. So I am that really surprised, really truly surprised me with the Orlando Magics. And then the Knicks, listen, the Knicks has been, I don't want to say a disappointment, uh, or do I say underachievers? I don't like they for to be the play at one of the most well-known arenas around the world at Madison Square Garden. You expect them to be like
Yeah.
top-notch good team, but they haven't been. But I think now there has been this shift of where you bring in Jalen Brunson
Hmm.
and Josh Hart and you just built this team and they are like they're clicking and it is cool to see because you know what, let's be real. I mean, it's the Knicks. Yeah, we know Boston is going to play well. We know uh Giannis, Milwaukee is going to play well. Philly, we expect. I
Hmm.
mean, Philly is supposed to be up there, and they're not really. We know these the Heat, like we know these teams, right? They do good. They do good. Cool. But if the Knicks do good, that's a whole different level of good because that stadium rocks. When the Knicks are
Oh yeah.
playing, bruh, it is must see TV. So I'm happy to see that the Knicks are in that contender spot and I want to hold on real quick. They are so I was wrong. They're fourth. So
Hmm.
and Magic are fifth. So I mean, to be fourth, to be in it, because if they are fourth, then they stay up there. They have a home field game. They will have
Yeah.
one home. Like they'll start in
If
Madison Square
everything
Garden, which
stays the same as it does right now, which I mean is a good possibility because we only have about a month left of games.
yeah.
They'll actually the Magic will be their first round matchup, which should be
Yeah,
really
so
interesting.
that'd be a good matchup. So yeah, those are my two surprises: the Magic and the Knicks. Just keeping up with again keeping up with the likes of the Celtics, the Bucks, the Cavs. Well, the Cavs too
The
could be a
Cavs are also
surprise.
another
Like
surprise. Yeah,
yeah, it's just they got Donovan Mitchell and they just been
yeah,
but the Cavs, you know what? And even if you took away Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs were a good team. But you
yeah.
added Donovan Mitchell and it just elevated them even more. And so I think, I mean, if you look at it right now, besides if you take away the Celtics, I mean the Cavs are 41 and 22. The Bucks are 41 and 23. The Knicks are 37 and 26. The Magic are 37 and 27. It's like everybody is right there,
Right there. Yeah,
the only thing can switch is the 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. To your point, with the month left, like that can just switch and change right there. But besides that, I mean, it's just to your point, the East is looking really good, and so yeah. So yeah, but let's move on to your disappointments, though.
yeah. Disappointment is I'm gonna go with the team. The Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what has
Mm-hmm.
happened to the Atlanta Hawks, but
Mm-hmm.
like this was a team that less than 3 years ago was in an Eastern Conference Finals, got there way earlier than people expected, took the Milwaukee team that would go on to win the NBA Finals that year, took them 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since then, they've gotten worse somehow. Like they've
Mm-hmm.
regressed. And I don't, I mean, Trey Young was, some people talked about him being like the second coming of Steph Curry. And I just don't know what has happened to them. I mean, they're technically they're in the playoffs right now, but
Yeah.
they're the 10 seed, and who knows if they even make it out of the play-in tournament. So, and they've been building. You got Trey Young. Um, They took that guy out of Virginia a few years ago. I feel bad. I can't remember his name. They had they have Collins. They
Yeah, Collins. Yeah.
on paper they have a good squad, and they just
Mm-hmm.
can't put it together. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, but I expected Atlanta to contend somewhat, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh, yeah, that would be my biggest disappointment. I was looking at the West. I mean, Sacramento, Dallas, the Lakers, and Golden State all being currently just playing teams right now. That is pretty shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento will be another team, kind of like the Hawks. They put up they way overachieved and they went into the playoffs as a 3 seed last year, which was awesome to see. Took Golden State to a 7 game series, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought that they were going to kind of continue the trend, but just can't keep it together. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. I mean, maybe they get into the playoffs and catch fire and shock everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so at first mine was going to be a team. Like I was,
Mhm.
you know, again, even though they are at the bottom, but the Spurs were kind of surprised with Victor, the whole, a big, oh, we're about to get this once in a lifetime dude, and
Yeah,
they concentrated so much on him, but they didn't surround him with anything like what you expect. I think that was kind of a debacle. The Grizzlies, with John
yeah,
Morant, him coming back, I thought that this was gonna, but he's been hurt and out and stuff like that. The 76ers with Joel Embiid, and that team that they had, I just thought they were gonna be way better. And then Milwaukee, even though they are at the top, I think the coaching change and like this whole like, who I'm so tired of seeing is Giannis' brother. Like I am so tired of seeing him all over the freaking internet and Instagram and sporting things of him just like like I don't care if that's your brother, dude. Get rid of him. Like no, like you're never gonna win with people like that around you. I don't care if he's your brother. Get rid of him. Like it doesn't make sense. Um, Even the Hornets with LaMelo Ball, like I
yeah.
thought they had a good team. I thought they were going to be better this year. They just had an off season. But prior to all of that, like I was looking through all of this and was just like, yeah, this is one of these teams. That's what I'm gonna go with my disappointment. But you know what, Joseph? My disappointment, even though we don't have a rant section today, my disappointment is going to be a rant, okay? And do
Okay.
you know who my rant is for today? That is for Mr. Ben Simmons. You piece of crap. All right. You know what? And I'm going to be a little bit nicer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that piece of crap. I'm sorry. But you know what? How many chances does one person get in this sporting world? Dude, do you want to play or you don't? Next, do you want to keep spending money or you don't? Like, let's do something to solve this. I I'm so tired of seeing this dude hearing about, oh my God, Ben Simmons coming back. And then, oh, Ben Simmons is out indefinitely. Oh, Ben Simmons, he might not play tonight. Oh, Ben Simmons had 2 points, 3 rebounds, and no assists. Like, dude, it drives, and now he's out for the season again. It's only a month left. Like, why did you wait till a month left and now want to say, oh, you know what? I can't do this anymore. You wasn't even doing it then. You was out the whole season in my eyes. This dude has, because what it is that you do feel bad. You're like, you know what, this dude is gonna make a comeback. He's gonna do it. Blah blah blah. Yeah, like good job, Ben Simmons. It's a heartfelt story. But you know what he does? He freaking goes out again. So why did I feel bad to begin with? You freaking turd. It was like he gets me so. This one dude, he gets me so upset sometimes, and I don't know because I do like him. It's just enough. It's like, make up your mind. Do you want to play or not? If you can't handle this league, if you can't handle coming back, then stay. Just say that and just be done for it, dude. Like you're just a waste of space, and you're doing it in a market that should be making some big noises, and it's not happening, and you're a part of that problem, and we need to move off from him. So yes, that's been my disappointment. I'm sorry I had to let that out, Joseph. So
I
yes,
love it. I'll be honest. I for a long time I thought Ben Simmons had like stepped away from the league because like
he
you,
needs
you
to.
never see him play,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he's also not. I mean, from what I hear, he's not great in the locker room. Like a lot of people don't like to be around him. You know, he had that ugly exit from Philly, and yeah, I feel you. He needs to decide. You know what's interesting about him is I remember he was drafted in 2016. He's actually
Mm.
from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, decided to play with LSU. He was the number one recruit in that class, in the 2015-2016 class. Like huge deal. Like people were hailing him like he was the next, kind of like Victor a little bit. Like he was the
Mm-hmm.
next big thing in the NBA. Sixers gave up so much to get him. Like they thought they had it. Him and Bede. Um, they thought they were just gonna be this dynamic duo, and then he had like one good playoff series, and then it just imploded.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the whole time I was like, why is it like what's the like LSU didn't even make the tournament that year. I was like, what is this guy that he's supposed to be this? I felt the same way about the kid from Washington who was drafted number one and then apparently forgot like how to shoot. Do you remember that? What is his name?
Wait, which one?
So he was drafted number one overall in 2017. Philly traded like a boatload to go get him. He's actually on the Magic now. I don't even think he's playing though. What's that guy's name? I'm gonna look it up. But he kind of reminds me of Ben Simmons a little bit, where it's just this kid wasn't that great in college. I mean, the numbers were good in college, but the teams he was on didn't win. Again, which goes to my point. Like to me, you could put up the numbers you want. If you're not winning and your teams aren't winning,
Markel
what
Fultz?
good are the yes, Markel
Ah.
Fultz.
Um.
Same thing. Like he was hailed as this generational prospect, and
Mm.
I just didn't get it. I was like, dude, like his team didn't win. Like Washington didn't win. But I feel you with Ben Simmons.
Thank you,
Uh,
Joey. Thank you for agreeing with me. So that is our NBA preview. And again, we're gonna get more into the NBA as the weeks go on. Because of the playoffs coming up, we will definitely have a lot more to talk about. But before we end this segment today, we got about a few more minutes left to get into what is going to happen on March 17th, the selection Sunday of the which is next Sunday, geez, of the NCAA March Madness. Right now, top four that they're predicting: Purdue, Houston, UConn, and Tennessee. With the odds favorite of Purdue, Houston as favorites to win, and I even saw Arizona up there as a favorite to win
mhm.
this year. So what are your thoughts so far in the NCAA and the tournament coming up?
I'm so excited. So I think I've told you this before. The March Madness tournament is like my second favorite
Mm-hmm.
single sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
basketball is not my favorite sport. College basketball is not my favorite sport. But like that event, it's like those
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I love. I think it's so exciting.
And then
Mostly
in
because
in 2030, the tournament, the finals will be had at AT&T Stadium.
I would go to that. I don't care
Yeah, I
who's
know.
playing in it.
That's
I
why
would go to
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
when I
that'd be
saw
so
that, I was
cool.
just like, oh, Joey will want to go to this.
I would go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love March Madness. It's
Mm-hmm.
trumped only by the World Cup is my favorite sporting
Mm-hmm.
event, just
Mm-hmm.
because it happens every 4 years and
Mm-hmm.
all that. I am very excited for this tournament. I think I know they say it every year, but this year does feel like to me there is no clear cut favorite. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people talk about UConn. UConn is playing great. They're a powerhouse. It's just very hard to repeat. We haven't had a
Yeah.
repeat basketball champion since 06, 07 Florida Gators, who had like, and that was a stacked team. You had Billy Donovan as the coach, Joakim Noah. Who's the guy on Boston now? Big guy, bald guy. I don't know. It'll come to
Uh,
me. But they had a stacked team.
Taco
So
Fall.
again, no, not he played for UCF. Anyways, um, again, so that's why I'm not gonna pencil in uh UConn as repeats just yet, because again, it's very hard to repeat. Again,
Mhm.
Purdue's really great, but lest we forget, Purdue went into the tournament last year as a 1 seed.
And they got bounced right out.
Like the second time it's ever happened.
Mhm.
So I do not care how good you are, anything can happen. And that's what I love
Mhm.
so much about the tournament. Houston's playing really good basketball. Houston to me
Yeah.
was my biggest surprise team this year,
Mhm.
because with them moving into the Big 12, which by all accounts is the hardest conference in college basketball. I mean, you got Kansas, Iowa State, who's playing great, Baylor. Two out of the
Which
three
they
most
play
recent,
today too.
yeah. Baylor
Yeah.
plays my boys Tech.
Yeah.
But
Kansas and
Kansas
Houston
and
play
Houston
today.
play, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
But two of the
Mm.
last three national champions were Big 12 schools. So with that being said, when Houston made the jump over, I understand they have a great team, but I did not see them winning the Big 12. I had them like maybe third or fourth, and they won it. So I mean,
Mm.
kudos to them. I think they are a dangerous team. Kelvin Sampson always knows how to get his teams to play hard. Some dark horses. I think South Carolina
Oh yeah, that's
is
a
a
good
team to
one.
watch.
Mhm.
Um, Gonzaga, I know this hasn't been your traditionally dominant Gonzaga team, but they're heating up. They just beat St. Mary's. I think they're going to win the WCC tournament. And I think they're going to roll that. I think they're going to be a dangerous team in the tournament. So yeah, I mean it's going to get very interesting. And then of course you always have those teams like FAU, San Diego State last year that kind of just come out of nowhere and make some runs.
Mhm.
So I am excited. I think my team will make the tournament. Alabeat will probably go in as like a 10 seed, which isn't great, but hopefully we can make some. If we beat Baylor today, that would be huge.
Mhm.
And we're home, so hopefully, and then if we can make a deep run in the Big 12 tournament, we can raise our stock. But outside of that, man, I'm ready for some upsets. I can't wait to make my brackets, so it's gonna be
Which
a
we
good one.
will do on here. We'll have our Socratic Sports bracket.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited.
yeah,
That
I mean,
that's what I got. Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited too. I think it's definitely going to be a good one. To your point, I'm definitely Purdue and Houston. I mean, even though they are projected as top one seeds, but I still think you do make them favorites in the tournament only because it's strength of schedule. Like they both had really tough schedules this year, and they're both at 27-3. To your point today against Kansas and Houston, I think that's a big tell. If they could pull this off, I think. I mean, you're talking Kansas is 22-8 right there, so that's another good one. And I think also, I mean, obviously one of the greatest rivalries ever with North Carolina
Mm-hmm.
and Duke, that's happening today. I think that's another one that can bump them. Pop right now, they're projected in the 3 seed, both of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I think this game today will probably shift one of them. And but I would say probably North Carolina even more because they did beat Duke earlier this
Yeah.
season. Um, and so yeah, I think this is a big game for Duke. I'm a Duke guy, and fortunately, I don't see them doing
Really?
much in the tournament.
You picked Duke over a UNC? See, if I had to pick one of the two, I'm a Tar Heel. I don't know what it is about Duke, man, but
Yeah, I've always,
I don't
I
know.
think, I don't know. I think Coach K and just the players that he's brought into the league. I mean, it has been like super successful. Like
Mm-hmm.
they like I mean, for example, Jason Tatum, drafted. Actually, I think he was drafted in 17 too
He
with
was, yeah,
Marquez Falls. And so,
yeah.
I mean, they just, though, just watching how they, bring up players and develop there in Duke. I mean, I just think, yeah, I just think they're just doing everything right. So I'm a huge fan of them. So yeah, I like, you know, to your point with Connecticut, I think again from last year, if they could continue to bring what they did last year into this season's tournament, I think they're right back in it too. Like I get it, there
Yeah,
hasn't been a
they're a
repeat, but
threat, no doubt. But
yeah,
I get caught up on that like it's really hard to repeat.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it is really hard. And again, one team that, well, I would say that for that top final, because again, we have Purdue, Houston, Connecticut. They're projecting Tennessee up there, but again, you have to deal with, there's Arizona out there, there's Iowa State out there. Again, you know, North Carolina, I mean, they could possibly, again, if they finish
yeah.
this, if they beat Duke and they could possibly sneak up there. Um,
And you can
uh,
never count out, like, you can't ever count out the blue bloods. Like, if
yeah, yeah, without a doubt.
Kansas, UNC, or Duke, if any of those three win, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, that's insane. Like, no, like, I mean, they're consistently, when they get in the tournament, they figure out ways to win. So,
Yeah, and yeah, once they do, I mean, it it's hard to bet against them.
mhm.
It really is. And so, like I said, I think today's games will speak a lot about what's going to happen in Selection Sunday. Um, as far as long as there aren't any upsets, like which I don't foresee anything happening today. I'm trying to
Oh, come
see
on. You don't think
if
my Red Raiders can take down the Baylor Bears?
hey, listen, you're right, Raiders. I mean, that's a really close game. I don't think that's more of an upset. I think,
You don't think so?
Bell.
Because we're
No,
not even ranked.
no, but I don't. Again, y'all not ranked,
Okay.
but y'all not like So Baylor is 22-8. Tech is 21-9. I mean,
We're
y'all are
right
right
there.
there.
The
Yeah, y'all
problem
are
is
right there.
we're very Jekyll and Hyde. Like we'll beat
Yeah,
Kansas at home by like 20 points, but then we'll lose at home to Texas. Like and get
yeah.
blown out by them. That's what concerns me about us this year is I don't know what team's gonna show up. But
Yeah, I would say probably the one upset that you probably could see today, or something, or that's closer than people think, is the Kentucky at Tennessee game. Because
yeah,
Kentucky isn't that bad. So that can be an upset alert. I
I
mean,
agree. I mean
again,
Arkansas right now is beating I mean it's still the first half, but they're winning 24-13 right now against Alabama.
mm,
A lot of people are
mhm.
high on Alabama this year.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people are high on Alabama this year. So I mean, yeah, again, we can't wait. I
Mhm.
definitely can't wait for Selection Sunday. And I can't wait for us to have our bracket. I think that's going to be super cool. As we dive through the final week of the college season. And so yeah, man. Looking forward to it, man. I think yeah, our I want to say so. Obviously, we do our podcast every Saturdays. We release them, but we're gonna have a special selection Monday
Mhm.
release for the tournament. So be on the lookout for that. And so yeah, any departing words, Joseph?
Yes, I do. So,
Okay, go for
for all of our fine 9 subscribers and hopefully more people that start watching,
it.
uh, probably the most exciting news that happened recently is our dear host, Mr. Carlos, that we love so much, is going to be a father pretty soon.
Oh yeah, even
So,
I forgot about that.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh no, I forgot I have a kid.
yeah.
Give me the guy leaving the grocery store. Sir, sir, sir. Oh yeah, that's my child. All right, come
Yeah.
here.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that, Joseph. Yes, yes, I
Super
am.
excited for him.
Yes, yes, thank you. I'm super excited too, man.
I don't
It's
know if he wanted that
def
public knowledge, but
oh, hey, it's public now. Yeah, that's super awesome to yeah to say that. And yeah, I'm excited to be a dad. Oh, dude, I mean, even though I'm thinking like it just popped in my head like a little baby Socratic T-shirt or something like that. Like like
that'd be so
that's how we
cool.
gonna get views. So we're gonna promote my baby to help
I
us
don't
get
want to exploit your
yeah,
child.
we're gonna exploit my child, dude.
Just
That's
hold him up
awesome.
the whole podcast if you don't like us.
Hey,
You
people
make
like
him
babies,
sad. You
man.
make this child sad. Oh
Dude,
man.
what we'll do is like on the next selection Sunday, we'll just have like a team or something and have the baby walk towards the team and like everybody
He
will
does a
watch, dude.
Super Bowl pick.
Yeah,
Which one you
yeah,
got? He's like
everybody will watch.
crawling. He's like trying to decide.
Oh, that's awesome,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
of course.
So yeah, man, but we haven't really discussed either, like the outro. Like, do we outro music or do we just
It's the best show you're not watching.